Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Triple Threat Comedy's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ian Miller. Happy New Year, everyone. This is actually our first episode in 2026, and I think we're off to a good start. Still in season 3, but this is episode 22. And I'm very pleased to welcome back my friend here, Ray Jameson, also known as DM Ray, to his intimates. Oh, God, that's the wrong thing.
Hey, always happy to be on, man. It's always a good time just to shoot the breeze with some like-minded people, even if it's just about, like, it could be anything, stories or anything else. But it's always a fun time to sit and just slow down, talk about something cool, a mutual interest. Happy to be on.
I'm happy to have you on. I was just telling Ray before the show started. I thought about him a lot, especially because he's a Dungeons and Dragons fan and a player. He's been playing for 15 years, and I just finished Stranger Things, so we talked about that a little bit. And we were also talking about how insanely popular D&D is now. It's always been popular, but now it's just went through the roof because of the series.
Yes, the series is I would say more of the mainstream. But in regards to people that like video games, there's obviously the voice actors from Critical Role, and I mean, there's lots of others, but that's more or less the poster child of online promotion. But yeah, Stranger Things definitely made a statement for D&D that cannot be denied for the last 10 years slash 5 seasons of the show.
Yeah, it's insane that this ride's over now, and I'm just pleased that we got a lot more D&D fans and people want to play the game.
Yeah, it's one of the best things I like about tabletop RPG over video games is if you have somebody that thinks outside of the box a lot. If I'm in an underground bunker and there's a bunch of pipes, I have no weapons, I want to pull a pipe off the wall. In video games, if that's not programmed in the game, you can't do it.
Yeah.
But in D&D, if the person thinks it up, there's at least going to be a chance they could try and pull off a thing. But video games, there's usually there's lots of options, but it's finite, where you could put in 1,000 different people in the same scenario. The outcome could be significantly different each time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what's also great about that comes out of this is storytellers, because they could turn the campaigns obviously into comics or novels, what have you. And obviously, this is what you did with Madcaps.
Yes. So the short version of that, not to I could talk about that forever. I moved across country, and I just, all my friends, all my family rather, everybody else, they're not by me. So I spent a while trying to find ways to hang out with my friends, find some cool excuses, and I always wanted to play D&D at the time, so I suggested I was the dungeon master. And if that wasn't challenging enough, I also wanted to make my own homebrew. Now, I don't think I bit off more than I could chew, but there was a lot to chew, that's for sure. I had a very steep learning curve. I had a lot of fun in those challenges. And this book is based off of the first homebrew I ever ran. It's loosely based off of, and the main differences are the characters that the players played as, I removed, and I injected my own characters that are based off of people I know, and various other inspirations as well.
Speaking like a true writer right there.
I am just making sure that everybody is I'm inviting everybody on my profile just to make sure they can see this. But yes, it's been a lot of fun. I've done the first 2 issues. They were successfully funded. Issue 3 is coming out either March or April. And I've been getting a really good following on pre-launch. I'm already past 80 followers, which I've never had that large of a following that early out. So I'm really happy with that as well. I think the largest following I've had overall after the campaign, I believe, is 121 followers. and I'm already 2/3 of the way, so I'm super happy about that.
Yeah, it should be. And after the end of the show, it's going to be 84.
Right on. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, I always try to support my friends. I also try to support indie creators. So, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I with indie comics, they're self-driven, and therefore there's nothing driving them outside of their passion. So if you have sponsorships, as they say, with the shekels comes the shackles. Well, I'll give you this money, but make sure your story involves this. And if you don't, I'm pulling the money. Homebrew D&D campaigns, same thing. I'm doing this because I want to. I'm not trying to follow a certain trope. The monsters, well, my monster manual has that, and here's the stats. Well, I want to make it a little different. Maybe I want some type of plant golem that vomits, I don't know, acid. Done. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to conform to a certain thing. And storytelling at the individual level is significantly less pattern or cookie cutter. It's really, really nice to see when somebody tells a story and you can tell that they've thought it up. It just feels more natural and intriguing for a unique viewpoint, as opposed to trying to tick off a certain formula. If you have something like Marvel or DC,
yeah,
and you have a couple of different monthly issues that are going to have a crossover for 1 month, well, you got to make sure those specific issues line up. Well, if one is ahead of schedule by a month, well, suddenly you need a filler issue somewhere in the middle to delay this next issue coming out. And my book, it's 3 issues. Originally, I wanted it to be 2, and there was so much going on. It felt too crowded. So I actually had to give it a 3rd issue just because I wasn't trying to make it 3 issues. In my mind at the time, I was thinking, I got to make it 3 issues. I want it to be 2. But now that I've done it 3 and I've looked through the scripts and the art and everything individually, I'm really happy with how that's turned out.
Well, it's good because, again, as the story creator, story writer, you have to kind of figure out, okay, what's going to happen in each issue. So it makes sense that you plan things out, saying, okay, since they couldn't fit these plot elements into issue 2, I'm going to make this into issue 3.
Yes, for me, for story writing, much like being a dungeon master and plotting out a story,
yeah.
The main difference for me is as a dungeon master, the players, they're dictating at least 60% of the story. In my personal experience, the way I lay things out.
Yeah.
When you're writing the story, you are the players as well. So I still have the same format. I'm going to lay out these scenarios, these loops, these challenges, these dynamics. But instead of saying, I'm very excited to see how the players are going to address this, once I've laid that all out, then I play it out as myself. I've used Roll20, which is an online D&D platform. I've actually put the players on some maps and moved them around to actually get a visual of how my story would go. So in this case, instead of players saying, well, and me sitting back and watching the players come through solutions and interactions and whatnot, instead it's me saying, okay, these characters are here, who would do what, and how would they interact each other? Would they boost each other? Would they trip over each other's feet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And I find it at an intellectual level very stimulating. It's a lot of fun.
Well, it is, because it's, well, you're giving it a lot of thought. You're putting yourself in the player's, mindset for a second. You're saying, well, how would I play it like this? So again, you're putting yourself in that mindset. It does work.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Now, was there ever a point during the story that you did something that it didn't quite fit? Like if your player went a certain way, and you're like, nah, this was a good idea.
So for this story, no. And I think the main reason I didn't come into such a specific hurdle like that is because I already knew the end game before I then played it through in my mind with the characters.
Yeah.
Because of that format, it was quite interesting. as a dungeon master, when you play a game, there's a lot of improv behind the scenes, and there's not just the improv, but a lot of addressing certain like unforeseen problems that the players never see.
Yeah.
So with that stated, I wrote out how I wanted the story to go. Then I played it through as the characters. But while I'm playing it through, okay, things are actually going different than what I anticipated. I'm still going towards the end I thought it would, but I am changing things on the fly. I never felt like I metaphorically painted myself into a corner or anything like that. It felt like a really nice flow of storytelling.
That's good. That's always good. Oh, wait a second. I believe. Hello, Victor. How are you?
Bigger cup. Yeah, look. There you go.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Victor is my interior artist. He did the interiors for issue number 2, and he's working feverishly on issue number 3. The stuff he's been making for me is fire. My colorists, Dan and Dave Kemp. Dan in specific, he's done over 100, or roughly rather 100 issues of Spawn, like 50 to 150, coloring Todd and Capallo's work. That's very like premium art for that era.
Yeah.
And Dan has made some references to Vic's. These panels specifically remind me of this artist, and this reminds you of this artist. It's really cool, and this is meant as a compliment to the gentleman's age, but it's nice to see people that have lived through that. They're like living history. So if they're like, Dan could tell you really cool stories of working on Extreme Comics with Rob Liefeld. You ain't seen nothing yet. You can get a oh, that's Mr. Tavares. I've been on 2 of his podcasts this week alone.
Nice. Very nice.
Yesterday and Monday. Yeah, I can get a bigger cup. One time at work, somebody, I was moving a 5-gallon pail, and the fella told me, "Hey, what are you doing with my coffee cup?" So I've always aspired to get a cup like that, but not successful yet.
It happens. There's still time.
There's still time. That's right.
Yeah.
More was I going? Oh yes, with Victor's art, he's been excellent. Actually, are you okay if I share my screen?
Go ahead.
So I'm going to be having more covers to show. I've on the last couple podcasts, this is kind of the same images, but I'm going to just put them up here. Where you right there? Close, open there. All the technical behind the scenes stuff.
That's all right. I did that myself.
So Victor, this image here, this is Victor's warm-up drawing before he did the interiors to issue number 2. And I liked it so much, I said, I want this to be a cover for number 3. So I decided to make it what I'm calling the main protagonist cover. Yeah. And it is all 4 of them looking pretty awesome. One thing I really like about this group is, yes, they look cool, but they're definitely not. There's bigger fish in their world. We'll put it that way. So to make a Fallout 2 quote, because I know one individual will be smiling as I say Fallout 2, you're just a small fish in an ocean full of sharks. And that more or less applies to these 4. One of the coolest things that I've liked so far in regards to reactions or reflections on the visuals, they really like the character designs, and they really appreciate how they all seem justifiably different from each other. They don't seem to have some type of specific formula. They seem like, I don't like to use the word ragtag a lot, but they are a mismatch. They are very eclectic in their appearances. And Victor, once I saw his original to this with some color corrections, and then he dressed it, we've got Phil Russert of Philbo Publishing. As I said in the last podcast, I proudly have that on my cover. Phil has been very good to me, and it's been a great time. If you guys are looking for some good indie stuff, look up Philbo Publishing. He's also going into distribution, and I've just been notified within the last, I think it was 4 or 5 months back now, All three of my issues are going to be put together in one collection, and it's going into distribution. So that's I say this humbly, and I'm flattered. I'm flattered for this opportunity, but it's going to be in literally hundreds of comic shops across North America.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. It's a really, really cool thing to be able to pull something like this off. And if somebody asks me how I did it, my answer to that is when I figure it out, I'll let you know. So I'll see it at the warehouse. I hope so. If you see it, Raf, send me a picture. Tag me in that. I would love to see that. They're super fun characters, and they're showing off how awesome they are. Yes, okay, that's a great segue. Okay, so what Victor's just saying there. Victor told me personally one of the best things he likes about these three issues in the story. It's kind of like 3 acts. He says in his experience with new writers of comics, and it's relatively younger, up and coming, with lots to prove. To quote Victor, he says it's always action, action, action. And my book definitely has action, but I don't rely on it. It's not the only thing entertaining the reader. And more importantly, it has to be justified. When the action happens, like it's got to be, I forget which of the two. It's either the first or second Wayne's World movie, but there's a scene where Wayne opens up a door, and then you just see guys on zip lines and machine guns going off and ninjas fighting and stuff. And it's like, what's this scene for in the movie? And Wayne says, oh, no reason. I just always wanted to open a door and see a bunch of guys just fighting for no reason. And according to Victor, mine is the opposite. All the fighting has some type of reason. It isn't just magically, no pun intended, but the wall explodes and monsters are coming in, and then that fight settles, and then it goes into another fight, and yada yada. But issue 3, as Victor was pointing out, everything leading up to that point. Yeah, Victor's right. It's like they are afraid to tell a story and think it's all about action. Well, and the other thing, just to add to that, because he makes up a good point there. It's people have to prove themselves. If you're going to make something for the public, it makes sense. You want the eye catch. You need that eye candy. It's unfortunately not just story, right? It's got to be, the art's got to be cool. It's got to look awesome. The rule of cool, as they say in D&D. But everybody goes back and uses a gold standard of visuals from early Image. But whatever many people tend to forget in early Image comics, those panels, yes, they jumped off the pages. Like your eyes, you looked at everything. But, and this is not to bash them, because they were ridiculously successful. All the power to all the individuals in Image, past and present. But at that time, if you go back and read those stories, a lot of them are pretty rough to read. They look awesome, but when you start reading through, yeah, you know what? This is a little weak. You can tell it's made by people who are artistically strong, but writing is not their first strength. Yeah. And obviously they had some learning curves. They figured it out. They're awesome. They've been around for well over 30 years now, and all the power to those folk. But for me, I had a couple of challenges. The first one is these 3 issues. There's no prequels. There's no 60 years of lore for people. Oh, I know what Spider-Man is. I know how he got his powers. I know why he thinks with great power comes great responsibility. So I had a couple of challenges. The first one is, yes, there should be action, but no, it should not be every page. One compliment I got from one individual was they liked how in the very first page of the first issue, I was able to introduce, in one way or another, passively, 3 out of the 4 characters. And although I didn't mean it like that, when I look back, I'm like, oh, that it just naturally made sense to do it. But it wasn't, I say it in sarcasm, it wasn't an explosion with like 1990 Spider-Man in some type of contortionist spaghetti webbing. That stuff's awesome, don't get me wrong, but yeah. I needed to build up to get to that cool stuff. Issue 3, I've said this as a joke in other podcasts, these guys start throwing down like Greeks holding dishes. Everything leading up to that point, it had to have justification. So I've been told by others the pacing and storytelling is good. Within 6 pages of the first issue, yes, there's some awesome stuff that happens. So these 4 individuals that are childhood friends, they all meet back in their hometown called Ivywood, and they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a zombie outbreak, and they're able to stave off helping the guards. At one point, 3 of them almost get overrun and killed, and the guards save them. And I've made the joke on other podcasts. This is the equivalent of getting like Captain Picard being, or I should say rather, Captain Kirk and Spock being saved by a bunch of red shirts. And I wanted to show that they aren't the mightiest people in the realm. Suddenly there's gravity. So there's repercussions behind their actions that they can't just walk everything off. And so after this outbreak is staved off, one of them is led to believe that a local drug called Weave, this outbreak has something to do. One of the individuals he recognizes, it's a local junkie, and there's no bite marks on him. So after following a couple of leads, it gets pretty wild and spooky, dare I say. Going into issue number 2, they find some captured citizens. There's some bandits. There's one cool part where one of these 4 individuals has to disguise himself as a woman to pull off an interesting feat, and it's justified. I didn't have it in there just to be like, I'm Johnny Knoxville and I'm dressed as a woman. Let's see if these bandits are going to recognize me or something, right? There's some really cool stuff, in my biased opinion, of course, of some of the scenarios they come across and how they address them accordingly. But most importantly, issue 1 and 2 are public now. People have backed it. People have read it. I've been getting some good reviews on the second one. One of the biggest ones is after saving some of these citizens at a bandit's hideout in the second issue. While the full-blooded dwarf there, Sarlacc, he sneaks into the not the headquarters, he sneaks into the hideout, and he finds a list of what's called inventory, and they think they're going to be finding this drug, Weave, but they actually find Weave and captured citizens. It completely throws around what their plan was in the first place of why they were there. And they have to find a way to get these citizens out. They couldn't just leave them. They wouldn't be able to like look at themselves in the mirror anymore.
Yeah.
So Sarlacc finds a book, and this book, Madrakis is able to devise a means to read it because it's in a script nobody recognizes. So the question is, Madrakis cannot be killed by a simple zombie, regardless of numbers. Well, if they're biting that armor, yeah, okay, I'll concede that. That's perfectly fine. Yes, you know what? It's funny. Madrakis appears to be... all of them have a following of fans. Madrakis, I like to class how he's been viewed by the fans. I like to class him as like Tommy the Green Ranger from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Lots of people think he's cool, which, yeah, he is. Sure, absolutely. And he does a lot of signature cool stuff. Very seldom do you see him doing like the big finishing killer move on something. But everybody like, yeah, I want to see the big guy do the really cool thing, and he definitely does. Going into issue 3, I'm going to go to my antagonist cover.
Okay.
This is the main villain. Nobody has seen anything about her leading up to the reveal of this cover to the public. And this escalates really quickly. It's not rushed unintentionally. It's rushed in certain areas on purpose. And as I've already, in the description of the pre-launch, it says, right, I've got it right here, 4 friends hunt down a necromancer who is attempting to curse their town by sunrise. It's vague, and people can make some speculation and conclusion, and I'm sure many of them will be right in one form or another. But this brings up a lot of questions. For example, although you can't see her ears, this is an elf, and an elf and necromancer is definitely a walking contradiction, but there's no context to her yet. And as Victor already said, this picks up in number 3. You're going to see some really cool stuff. So anytime you've seen a good movie that leads up to a good fight and it's justified and you get satisfaction by the end of the big battle or the cool fight scene where the big boss is taken down, my intention was to treat these 3 issues like individual acts leading up to the justified cool scenes. So before, yes, there's different intrigue, there's different banter and dialogue, and yes, there's action in there as well. At this point, the further you get into book 3, the more it escalates and becomes more and more conflict. I had a lot of fun writing this thing out. I'm having a lot of fun watching Victor turn this thing into visuals on panels, and all of the cool stuff in between, all of the talent that I've had so far attached to this. For example, this cover here was drawn by Harv Salteras. I've had him for the second time make a cover for me. The first one was issue 1 of Sarlacc holding the severed head of the monster.
Yeah.
He drew the first year of volume 2 of Ghost Rider, which was one of the first comics I ever collected back to back to back.
Nice.
So he drew that Dan Ketch era with Blackout and Death Watch. And in my opinion, Harv has a very underrated style for drawing the Kingpin, who is in that era.
Yeah.
I really love those comics, and it was really cool to get him to draw it the first time, let alone the second. And I've made the joke, this is the equivalent of having like Kurt Cobain and insert famous musician here, having 2 of those individuals perform a song that I've written. So here's a character I made up. Harv drew this out. Beautiful. And then to have Dan Kemp, the Spawn colorist, he colored this. So you've got Image's version of a Hellspawn and Marvel's version of a Hellspawn, and 2 talented individuals that have worked on those things, combining their efforts to make this cool thing. It's just something I could geek out on forever and ever if you gave me the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as I've already said, this 3rd issue, the escalation is very high. It's time sensitive, and cool things happen, and it's absolute torture for the last 2 years not being able to talk about leading up to this point. The final issue I can show, or sorry, not the issue, the final cover I'm able to show you today, which is, come on, there we go. There. Wow. This is Glasgow. Now, this is done by an individual who goes by the alias of Pogs Art. He's from the Philippines, and of all the social media I've seen, the weakest one still cleared 175,000 followers. If you look him up on Instagram or Facebook, he has a video of him drawing this from start to finish. He starts by penciling it, and the penciling is very, very, very general. He doesn't even draw the clothes. It's pretty much just polygons very lightly, and then he just starts drawing the clothes on with ink. There's not even any scaffolding or framework before he starts throwing the ink down, and it's pretty impressive to watch. This is also going to be colored by the Kemp brothers, but interesting enough, one's going to be glow in the dark. And the only things, so the entire background's going to be darkness. The only 3 things will be glowing is his hands, obviously, his eyes, and the Madcaps logo behind it. So his head, obviously, the silhouette of the head is going to cover up some of the logo, but you'll see his eyes coming out of the silhouette. I think that's really going to pop.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really cool getting these different talents to combine their abilities in a way that hasn't happened before. I'm really happy to help facilitate that.
Well, you should be. I mean, this is insanely gorgeous. All these covers, and the fact that you got to have 2 of your favorites, working on it on one of the covers. My God.
Yeah, it's excellent. And another cool thing, One of the best things I like about this character, Chazgo is part of a race of elves that um, they're not. They're, I guess the best way to put it is they're vilified in other settlements and cities. They're known as what's called Argers. They are these blue-skinned elves that live in mountains which are riddled with silver deposits. So that's what makes their skin blue. This actually happens with humans in real life. If they ingest enough silver, it tattoos their skin cells. And one of them, lots of them have been like interviewed and stuff. Oprah interviewed one fella, and he kind of reflects that. But another cool thing about having all that silver in his system, he's actually resistant to magic, which is neat. Not immune, but resistant. So that's a cool little trait. These elves, they worship the mountain. They think worshiping the mountain gives them that gift of being resistant to magic. And another cool thing about them is they all think magic is an abomination. Chazgo, he, as you can see, he has some magic abilities. He's not a fan of his people, and he was given, you could see a chess piece in the form of a necklace in this image. He was approached by an individual named Annette. We don't know too much about her in the story, but we do know that he gets his powers from that rook, which he essentially got from her. And much like how the Venom symbiote bypassed Peter Parker's spider sense, this is kind of a similar thing. So he's actually able to cast spells. One of the most beneficial things for him is he's able to disguise his appearance. So he moved into Ivywood, took on a human persona, and has worked his way up as a representative of a noble in Ivywood. He's dancing really close to danger, but all of the covers, every issue I've had individual covers of each character. Chazgo goes from I'm peeking around the corner and donning my human persona. In the second one, you see him sitting down on a bench, and he has his pet, Emix. It's a three-eyed albino crow perched on his shoulder, and he's always careful. He doesn't want to expose himself. In the first issue, during that outbreak, he can't be seen casting spells. It'll compromise his identity, so he actually has to run and go get help from the guards. He's always careful. He's always to himself. In this issue, there's not as many options or liberties. So even on the cover, I wanted it to look like he's not hiding. He's preparing for something. That's something I can't quite say yet. But everything, even the images on the covers, there's a lot of escalation. And it's, in my opinion, as I've already said, very justified in regards to where this is going. It's going to be a good time.
All right. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited for you, and that this is coming to fruition. And you said this was going to be coming on March, April, right?
Yes, somewhere in there. Yes.
Okay. Well, I never got to, obviously click the pre-launch on Kickstarter, so I can, keep focus on it and, see the awesome artwork that you're going to be unleashing on that.
Yes.
The teaser pages.
Yes, and as these weeks go by, I will be revealing more and more. I've got a lot of covers on the go here, and that's all I could say about it. I'm literally looking at one right now off camera here, and I just, come on, but I can't show you. I really want to. I really wish I could, but it would not be wise to do so yet. I've got to time it. There's a really cool one coming out with Fish Lee, and it's going to be lava foil. Keep your eyes out for that. That's probably going to be coming out or revealed rather, maybe at the start of February. We'll see.
Okay. All right. So this is what the pre-launch page actually looks like, folks. For those of you who haven't followed it, and if you haven't followed, where have you been? Come on. This is a kick-ass story.
So, not everybody can buy everybody's comic. I've always, back when Wizard Comics or Wizard Magazine rather was a thing.
Oh man,
those were the glory days.
Oh yeah.
One of the best things I liked about Wizard Magazine was the fact that it would catch me up on a lot of stories. I couldn't buy every issue, and I mean, in the '90s, I was in the back half of the '90s. I was a teenager, and there wasn't. my allowance could only stretch so far, but Wizard Magazine I could get monthly, no problem. And anytime there's a big series coming out, Wizard Magazine would make jokes like, if your wallet wasn't crying yet, it's going to be crying soon, stuff like that. So I understand people can't back every book.
Yeah.
But more importantly, if you just click on that notify me on launch, you will be helping me in ways that we can't even fathom, predominantly for the sake of algorithm. If a lot of people have interest, that will draw more interest. So if I only had like 11 followers and somebody sees it, okay, looks neat. Right now I'm up to 83 followers now, and that's awesome. I'm super happy. I'm very grateful for all the people that have been supporting me on this. When somebody sees 80 plus followers, okay, all right, I see where this is going. It's not the hugest. It's not like Brian Polito type of followers, but
make a comparison like that, man.
But when people see, okay, it's 80, maybe a little bit more, obviously this person is doing something. Yeah. So if you click on notify me on launch, you're helping me in exponential ways that we won't even understand. But if any of you are listening right now, if you click on that, I really appreciate it. And I promise you there's some cool stuff coming out. You will be able to purchase all 3 issues. And again, I have to keep biting my tongue because there's some surprises come out. You'll see in the tiers. I guarantee you there's going to be there's something for everybody is the best way to put it.
See, he's already teasing me, folks. I don't have access to this. I don't. So, yeah. Yeah, so I think it's a good thing, and definitely hit the notify me button and just check it out. You know, what have you got to lose? And,
yeah, nothing to lose on that one.
Yeah, and if you can't purchase like we've said, that's okay. At least you just say, you know what, I saw it, I like it, I'm gonna recommend it to somebody else.
Right on, man. And anybody that's listening right now, I really appreciate any effort. We've had a lot of like really good support. The indie community, I've had very positive feedback. I shouldn't say feedback. I've had a positive experience in the indie community. I know there's lots of different communities that not everybody gets along. And putting all of that dynamic aside, I haven't seen too much crazy in the indie community. There's been an overwhelming amount of support from oodles, canoodles, and toaster strudels worth of people. There's really cool communities podcast. I'm on one right now with a cool individual. He's got his own book. You should definitely check it out. But another cool thing I do is I do reviews. I'm over 40. I have over 40 reviews done now, and I just really like the concept of meeting the people behind these stories and hanging out, such as I'm doing right now. And overall, I don't know where I'm going to go with this after. This is supposed to be a short story of 3 issues. We'll see where it goes. I'm very happy, as I already said, about Phil and Philbo Distribution. They're going to be distributing this as one piece. I don't know what I want. See, here's the thing. I'm taking opinions here. What do you think, Ian? It's less than 70 pages with all 3 put together.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to call it a trade paperback, maybe or a volume, maybe I'll call it a volume, or be silly and call it the tome or something.
I'd say it would be a volume. I really
volume. Yeah, I think so.
Because I think, with trade paperback, sometimes it varies, how many pages are in it. It could be like 108 page or 120, stuff like that. But I would say a volume perfectly describes what the Madcaps is.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. My son for Christmas, he got a graphic novel of Amazing Spider-Man. It's like issue 85 all the way up to like issue 103 or something like that.
Okay.
So that's like Death of George Stacy.
Yeah.
When after that he sprouts arms and he's fighting Morbius with a lizard. The lizard who has Kirk Connor's mind. Really cool stuff. Yeah. That to me feels like a graphic novel. I don't think I'd ever call this a graphic novel. I don't think anything outside of a volume fits. I think I am going to go with volume.
Yeah, because I think it's the best way. To call it anything else, I think would just it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't feel right. I'll
Yeah,
get
I
something nice.
I don't want to cheapen the word graphic novel. Like I don't the story. I feel my story is worthy of the comic industry, but for me to call it a graphic novel, I think it does a disservice to any 400 or 500 page collection of like 12 issues. Like that's a graphic novel. I don't even want to pretend that that's what I have. I think volume is the right way to go.
Yeah, that I have no idea what I'm going to call mine for 5 issues. I don't know yet. That's gonna be interesting going forward. What to think about that? But I'm not there yet, so I have to I'll get there eventually. I'll get there
Yes,
eventually.
sir.
No, but yeah, it's just fantastic, and the fact that you're also going to be, seeing it in the comic book shops, when that actually does happen, the distribution, is exciting.
Yes, it is just an awesome experience, man. I'm still, even now, just flattered that Phil has taken a chance on me to publish, but he believes in the story enough. He feels it should be out in the public and out in the wild at your local comic shop. So probably in 2027, keep it going.
Well, let's just wait because he has to think of a story. He has to try to
Uh,
figure that out.
well, you know what? It's funny you mention that because obviously that is a thought on the table.
Mhm.
I have lots of stories of these characters, so there isn't a problem there. I just want to just see where this rabbit hole goes first. We'll see.
Yeah,
But yes, if I if this is successful enough with three, like more so than one and two, and then when the volume is released, I think I'll make my decision then. We'll see.
no. Well, I really can't wait, Ray. I really can't wait, and I'm definitely gonna be do my best to support this thing. Just to see it gets properly off the ground. And I'm pretty sure your fan base is going to want are itching to see what happens. The last issue. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's make
there's
this. Let's make this happen, folks.
yeah, there's I'm just trying to think of ways to word certain things without giving anything away. I just have to keep silent here, man.
I know. I
There-
can see your face. I can you see your face. You want to say something, but you can't.
yeah, it's I consider myself more patient than most,
Yeah.
but my patience is at its limits. I just got to get this cool thing out. I might as well just talk about the covers at least,
Yeah.
and all the cool covers that are in the works right now. There's some really cool stuff. I know I've already said that already, but if you guys are looking for me on socials, you can find me as DM Ray on Facebook. DM is just short for Dungeon Master. My profile picture is just the main cover art for issue 1 of the Madcaps, and I'm going to be releasing something weekly between last week that passed leading up to when this thing launches. I've got enough content to be sharing for people to see. I'm really excited, really excited. I've got artist Jay Sloan. I've got last year. Oh, you know what? There is something I can share. Last year I had a fan art contest,
Mhm.
and the winner, he had his art in the end of issue number 2. I liked his work enough that I hired him to make a cover. So he's actually going to be making a cover of Madcaps. Can't show it yet, but I can say that. So it's really what I can say. It's real gnarly looking, and I'm doing the same right now. I have a contest, the exact same format. If you make some fan art of the Madcaps and it ends up winning, it is pinned to the top of my Facebook profile page. Follow the rules. There's, I think, 2 simple rules of A, sharing that post, and B, posting your submission, your contest submission, in the comments of that image. And the winner, it's going to be colored by Dan Kemp, the Spawn colorist, who's doing all my interiors. And depending what I do moving forward in regards to this lovely rabbit hole of comic books, I'm looking for talent. I've only made 3 issues in my life. Who am I in the world of comics? I'm nobody of huge establishment or grandiose significance. So I need that network, and that's the reason I'm doing this second contest. The person who wins, they'll be getting obviously their art colored and in the book at the back. That costs me money. I don't gain from that. They will be getting a copy of the issue, and if I'm that happy to put their work in my book, you better believe that I'm going to be looking to utilize their talent when I hire them for other things. So look on that now. There's also I have a Madcaps Facebook page. You can look that up. And you can also find me on Instagram, which is Raymond the DM. DM Ray was taken, unfortunately. But you can find me on there. I do have updates on there. The biggest ones are Instagram and DM Ray's Facebook page. Like I said before, weekly, we're going to have stuff on there. And it's just going to be a lot of fun leading up to this build up. I get to show some cool stuff. You get to see what's happening, and man, life goes on. It's been a good time so far, and I'm happy to keep this good thing going.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Ray, can't thank you enough for coming on to talk with us about this. So this is fantastic. So if you haven't checked out the Madcaps yet, go to Kickstarter, hit that notify button, and just enjoy the ride.
I really appreciate you having me on in the style that you have. And if you look, go to Ian's profile. He's got some cool stuff coming out. And the last thing I'll say is we've got lots of interesting stories. I'm not bashing the mainstream. All the powers to Marvel, DC. I like to say the big 4, but some people interpret that, at least the big 2 everybody agrees on, right? But indie comics, Image Comics was based off of the concept of indie. And in a way, they kind of do the same thing. But if something like Image can be so successful off of brand new dynamic stories for the time they came out, we've got so many cool stuff out. I already mentioned Filbo Distribution. You could check out his flagship book called Tragedy, about an Irish assassin who fights everything from a rival guy named Breath of the Dragon to literally a 8-foot-tall Siberian were-tiger. And there's so many cool things in there. But definitely check out Filbo Publishing and Phil Russert on Facebook. It's got a lot of exciting stuff coming down the pipes, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, before we actually do go, I'll plug in my own stuff as well. As maybe you know, I do a comic book series called Codename Hunter. You can find it at indieplanet.com. This is issue 1. And here is some of the test page, the first few pages. Yeah, the colors were done by my friend Eric Hernandez, who was actually also the creator of our other character, Soul Racer. So check out
right
that.
on.
Yeah. So this is issues 2 and 3. This cover was inked by my friend Enrique Lopez, who's inking 4 and 5 for me. So yeah, and as soon as I get some news on when the Kickstarter is going to launch, I'll let you guys know.
Right on, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, folks, I think this will be it for us tonight. I'm Ian Miller, and this has been Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. And have a good night.